And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a magnificent guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is our brother Hilario Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam, dear brother. Thank you for considering me to be a part of your great program.
Praise be to Allah. The honor is mine. The first thing that we want to say is for everyone who was watching, I want to say that I enjoyed myself this weekend in Phoenix, Arizona, and a lot of the behind the scene things that were put into motion was because of our brother's student protocol director, Brother Hilario Muhammad. So we want to thank you for the hard work that you put in this weekend to help make this event a success.
Praise be to Allah for the success. It was definitely a team effort for sure amongst the many believers here at Muhammad Mosque 32.
Perfect. Yes, sir. Now, Brother Larry, I had a quick question for you. Um, First of all, we'll just start from the beginning, but let's we're gonna recap the weekend, then we'll go back into your history. This
Sure.
weekend, yes, sir. What was it like putting together an event or helping to organize an event like, the premiere of the second coming? I mean, the coming of God, part two. Like, what was that like?
Well, I tell you what, everything takes sacrifice, right? It takes energy, it takes time, it takes finances. And these are the things going into it, for those who have done similar things before any kind of event, you expect those. But this right here, over 600 people attending, yo, it was one of those things where you just have to take your expectations and kind of like squash them just a little bit just to make sure you don't overthink it. It's going to be this big event. Although it turned out to be that everybody was completely satisfied with it. And, we had the opportunity for people to submit anonymously their comments about their experience there. And all of them were extremely positive. I don't think we had one negative comment. So just to work together with the fellow student laborers and many of the believers and even people from the community to broadcast this out to make sure people have the opportunity to experience and hear directly from in the movie. You have, the minister speaking, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad speaking, Brother Ilabaji, the research team speaking, Sister Ava speaking. I want them to hear directly without anybody filtering it through what they can expect these wills to really mean when it comes to Black people. The
Mm,
reality,
mm.
the nation of Islam's connection, which is really not a connection, it's the origin. So, I'm glad they got to see that firsthand without anybody in the middle. So praise be to Allah. That was an amazing weekend.
Yes, sir. Okay, great. And thank you, Brother Larry. Now, for those who weren't able to make it, where can they find the video? Where can they find the movie?
The beautiful part about it is you can't
Okay.
until until Savior's Day. Brother
Mm,
Ilya Rashad's website, Nation Brothers, will allow it to be purchased for streaming. I believe it'll be $9.99, and you can get your copy and you can stream it forever after that, just like it was for Answered Part One. You can get that one too as well on nationbrothers.com. But Brother Ilya will make it available Savior's Day weekend for $9.99 as of right now. But you could also, like what we did, you could solicit him and get in contact and ask him about what it would take to bring this experience to your city. Because you
mm,
can rent
mm.
out a movie theater too, and then you can host it and you can sell tickets or you can give away tickets or you can just do a mosque function. But I would definitely hit him up and see what it takes to bring it to your city because the in-person experience in front of a grand theater screen with the sound, surround, and everything, it's totally different than watching it on your phone, streaming, or even on your laptop or on your TV. So I definitely recommend. And then it's not just watching it yourself too. Sometimes the experience is increased greatly when you're watching it with hundreds of people, like in our case, right? 600 people, we're all watching it together. So everybody's excited. Everybody's getting their mind blown by some of these files and some of the evidence that the brother is presenting in this movie. So definitely that's one way is to wait till Savior's Day to stream it, contact him, and then try to get it screened in your city as well. So I definitely would recommend you get it screened in your city if you can.
Beautiful. Praise be to Allah. And thank you everyone who is showing love to our brother Hilario Muhammad. Sister Naima says, Assalamu alaikum family, alaikum salam. Sister Miriam says, Assalamu alaikum family, alaikum salam. And people saying all praise to Allah. Also, shout out to everyone holding it down on our YouTube family. Sister, Brother Kente, Brother Musa, Sister Auntie, everyone who always shows love on YouTube. Thank you all as well. Now, for those who are new to the term student protocol director. Can you explain to us, can you clear that term for us so people can know what your function is?
I can do it to the best of my ability.
Yes, sir.
It's a two-part situation when it comes to a protocol director. One part is in-house, right? So you're dealing with what you want to make sure your guests who come in, if they're special VIPs and whatnot, you want to make sure they have a good seat. So those who we get interactions with from other faiths, those who are community leaders, if you invite them out, you want to make sure that they have a good experience there. So make sure they get seated, make sure they arrive properly, make sure they exit properly, and even not just VIPs, but just anybody who come as a guest to the mosque. If anybody invites it, we all do hard work when we text people and say, "Would you be my guest this Sunday?"
Yes,
So you
sir.
want to get treated properly. But when you're around the believers, everybody, for the most part, always gets treated properly. Everybody's happy to see a new face. So that part is what is on the in-house, making sure that they are accommodated and that they are treated well. And then on the outside of the four walls, it's really grand. It's a big field, right? So there's so many aspects from what I do and what all the protocol directors across the nation do, but me specifically is make sure that you make friends for our nation.
Mm,
So specifically for your local mosque, right? On behalf of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the local student minister. And then also you want to make connections and network so you can have resources for when things are needed. You'll be able to say, hey, I know this person, this a lawyer over here. I know this judge over here. I know this activist, or I know this pastor. I know this person who deals with homelessness, and they can afford somebody who's a guest who may not have a home to be able to have resources for that or anything. I'm just that's really, really, really a short list, but these are important things to have. Put on events in the community where we can interact with our people. So when we engage with them, they get a great first impression or just a continuous impression of the Muslims. So a lot of times we get, people read about us or they hear about us in videos, and that's secondhand, right? They have this thinking, oh, okay, that they like this or they're haters or whatnot. But when we facilitate these events out in the community and they see how we are in person, hand to hand, they have nothing but love for us. So, that's on a local level and on a national level, you want to do that too for your whole entire nation. So, for the minister, you may want to interact with somebody that could prove to be beneficial later. Like right now, we're dealing with a lawsuit, right? So we
mm.
want to get this information out on a national level, local level, region level, wherever you have influence and wherever you've made connections. We want to get them so they can read this information or hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan directly instead of whatever comes across in the headlines and news feeds. So it's very important to manage people, manage relationships, keep them good, keep the eyes irons and that fire hot, and because you don't want to drop a relationship after you've made it. So you have to foster these things, right? So it takes somebody to have a great presentation, a great first. I'm not talking about myself per se, because I have much room for improvement in all these areas, but you want to have a good face for your nation out there. So you got to represent on all levels from knowledge to how you handle people. Your character got to be great, and you want to look decent. So you try your best to do all of those things. But the most important thing to me is the spirit to want to go out there, because when you help your people out there genuinely in the community, they really receive you well, and then they're just all about the nation after that. Generally, that's my experience here in Phoenix, at least. So hopefully that's the experience that most other protocol directors share across the nation.
All praises due to Allah. Yes, sir. And for those who are interested, who have the personality, who have the spirit and desire to go into the protocol, what advice would you give to them?
Oh, I kind of wasn't expecting that. Yeah. Well, it's a hard question to ask to some degree, but what I'll say this, the answer, if you really like being amongst the people and you like making things happen and you care about the experience of guests and putting on events and making sure that they're successful as far as the promotion of our teachings and exposing Islam, specifically the Nation of Islam and our teachings under the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, then this is good. And you don't have to, you could be already doing this honestly in the community and you not even know it.
Mm, mm,
Anybody out there is kind of like an activist like that. You're kind of in that field. So if all you got to do is just bring it on home, if you're already a Muslim or you're a registered member of the Nation of Islam, and then start working with whoever's doing it officially. And then that's how I got into it.
mm,
The
mm.
2000 Fearless was an excellent segue for me and participating in what your father kind of took from the instructions from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, and he made it into action. And so that activated me and my city heavily into the community. And then it just started rolling and rolling and rolling just by following the instructions of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And your father was always on the phone, willing to give us guidance through my father, Brother Kenny, and their relationship. So it was just spearheading. Okay, so all of this activity, all of these connections that was made started to be beneficial to the mosque as well, not just as the 10,000 Phyllis. We're not going to separate the two. So when my protocol director that I was the assistant under, Sister Lakeisha Muhammad, we worked together very well. And then when she moved actually to Atlanta, right? Y'all took her away from us.
mm, mm, mm,
When she
mm,
moved, I still didn't feel like I was personally ready to be something like that. So I kind of like been point of contact for like 2 years almost, just to because I didn't feel like I needed that spot or I deserved that spot per se.
mm, mm,
We had a dinner with the minister, and he asked, what was I, and I said, well, I'm the point of contact. And then that was pre-dinner. And then
mm,
after dinner, he mentioned to one of his guests, I think it was his violin teacher, the lady, um, and he's like, this is my protocol director. I want you to meet him.
mm.
I was like, oh shoot, you know what I mean? So I still kind of didn't want to do it, but at that point, all the other fellow laborers like, you heard what he said. So I was like, at that point, I officially took it. So it's not something that I was aiming for. So I don't think anybody should necessarily be aiming for an official position like that, like an official student laborer. But if the shoe fits, then you wear it for the time period Allah blesses you to do so. So, but I encourage everybody, please, if you're not in official capacity as a student protocol director, always go out there in the community because everybody has their own circle of influence, right? So make that beneficial for your nation. Because if these teachings is what changed you and got you to present yourself upright and make you attractive to anybody, it could do the same thing for somebody else on a higher scale than you or on a lower scale. But we have to be found striving to still do the work no matter what of a title. So yes, sir.
Beautiful. Excellent job. And Brother Lario, on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we want to thank Allah for you and the many sacrifices that you have made and the sacrifices of your family. So shout out to your family as well. Praise be to Allah. Okay. So many comments. Thank you all for watching. Brother Michael, Sister Rachel Neal, Sister ASA, my brothers, Walaikum Salam, ma'am. Sister Deborah, Phoenix, Arizona. Assalamu Salam. That's right. Good answer, brother. Oh, brother, you are doing a wonderful job. Beautiful. People are showing love and can't wait to upload this to YouTube. My next question for you, sir, is when did you first hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad?
Well, I have to heavily be thankful to Allah for my father, Brother Kenny Muhammad, because I remember living in Dallas and seeing in 1995, I remember seeing the brothers really out on the corner for Million Man March, and they were
Mm,
selling papers, but I didn't really know what they were doing. You know what I mean? I didn't know. I grew up in a Christian background, right? Louisiana and Texas, and so in 1996, on the tail end, my mother worked at this gas station, and my pops came in there, and he kind of just caught interest, and then he asked her to have a conversation, and he was talking to her about Islam and whatnot. And my mom was very open to it, surprisingly. And I remember one time he dropped off a tape, and we watched it in the living room, VHS. He popped it in. I can't remember what lecture it was. I bet my mom would be like, this lecture, but she can't hear me, right? But we watched the lecture, and my mom was in tears.
mm,
And she immediately accepted over one VHS tape of the minister. And she's like, whatever. And I remember at the time they weren't married, they were recording or whatever. So he came over to the house and he was in the refrigerator. Now, at this time, I'm like 11 years old
mm,
and I don't know this dude, you know what I mean? And he coming in the house and he just throwing stuff in the trash can. And this is all the pork products that we had in the refrigerator,
mm,
right?
mm, mm,
I'm like, say, man, what you doing throwing away my mama's food? You know what I mean? And I ran into the room and I told my mom, I was like, yo, this dude over here throwing away all our food. And she's like, he doing what? And then she came into the kitchen. She's like, what are you doing throwing away my food? He's like, this is all pork product. It's all trash. He said, but
mm,
don't worry. I'll replace everything with what you need of better quality or match. And
mm.
then like, all right. She submitted again immediately again. I was like, God dang, I'm the man of the house at the time because I'm the oldest.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But it took me a minute, but I was like, okay, cool. And then next thing you know, we started going to the mosque, and then he proposed to her, and they got married. It was probably, man, less than 4 or 5 months, and they got married, and we've been in Islam ever since. And so I'm so thankful for that because it literally changed the trajectory of my entire life. In comparison, I always draw it to my cousins because we grew up like brothers. And the path that they went in life at the time, I almost have like a little bit of like a survivor's guilt, but it's not really the appropriate term. But I got Islam through my father, and it changed our life, but they didn't. And one of them, I love my cousin, and he's facing like he's in 66 years in
Mm,
jail. My other cousin was in jail with time for 55, but he
mm,
recently something happened recently and he got out. So but that we were all on kick it together, we do the same things, but because of Islam it changed me and we ended up separating in that kind of activity. So I don't know what I would have been if it wasn't for the introduction of Islam into my family, my siblings, my family now, you know what I mean? So now, and I found out not too long ago that my grandmother practiced Islam in private because her mother was really like, you're not going to do that here in my
mm.
house. But I believe she was registered to my knowledge, according to my mother, and my aunts. So I'm proud to keep it going. You know what I mean? So I hope so, because it definitely is a positive influence in every which way you can understand about life. And I hope to continue that going.
Praise be to Allah.
That was me as a youngin, but then also I had to accept on my own, right? So from 11 to 16, I'm in the nation from Dallas to Phoenix. And then at 16, I was doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing, and a brother saw me one time, right? And this is a little bit of a personal situation, right? And he went to my mom and told her, this your son, da da da. And I was like, I was so upset with the brother that I left from coming around the mosque at around 16, right?
Mm, mm,
And because I didn't want to see that particular brother anymore, right? Because I was
mm,
mad.
mm,
And then come around my mom the whole entire time. Love your mothers, everybody. Right. My dad always talked to me about Islam, but my mom was like, son, can you be my guest? Can you please come back to the mosque? And can on this Sunday, this. And all the time for like 9 years, I told her, no, no, I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I don't want to see this brother. Right. And she never gave up trying, calling me, trying to convince me all kinds of ways until 2011. She, she said, son, would you please come with me to Savior's Day? And I was like, nah, I'm not gonna go to Savior's Day, Mom. And I'm not wilding out in the world, you know what I mean? I just little things, you know what I mean? But I'm not beside myself. And
mm,
so uh, she said, well, if you're willing to buy your ticket to the Sunday lecture to hear the minister, a $25 ticket, $20 ticket, whatever, that one, that cheap one. And she said, I'll pay for everything. I'll fly you out. I'll pay for your hotel, pay for all your food, and show you around everything. And at that point, I'm like, that's a heck of a deal, right? $20 and you do all this stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna take advantage of this situation just for all that it comes with.
yes, sir.
I did. But boy, I tell you, I went to Savior's Day and everything that I saw, the brothers, the sisters, it just overwhelmed me.
Mm,
I
mm,
even got to the Sunday lecture, but then when I heard the Sunday lecture from the minister, it was a wrap. I was
mm,
coming back. I said to myself in my mind, I'm coming back. I missed this. I even tried to go to FOI class, but I was dressed class C, not knowing that I couldn't get in. But I tried to get it
mm,
because
mm.
I didn't have nothing to do that Saturday morning. FOI class, everybody's busy, so I'm by myself. And then the brother was like, hold on, brother, are you registered? I said, I'm a Muslim. He said, brother, no, sir, brother. He said, you got to step aside. So I stepped aside, but I was like, man, I'm going to FY class when I get back to Phoenix. And so shortly after, I didn't come back from Phoenix and jump right into it, but Father's Day 2011, Brother Ishmael was speaking, and my father invited me to come to the mosque and all my siblings, and we was make a big deal about it, right? We're all coming back to the mosque together. Yes, even my wife said, I'm coming. My brother, everybody's like, yes. I pull up to the mosque, me and my wife, and I call my brother, where you at? Oh man, I'm not coming. I call my sister, where you at? Oh man, I can't make it. I was like, okay. I was like, pops, man, ain't nobody making it. So I call my pops. I'm like, yo, everybody said they can't make it. He's like, oh man, I can't even make it. I'm like, what? I'm coming at your invitation and you ain't here. So I call my mom in Texas and she's like, son, every tub stands on its own bottom. Go
Mm,
ahead. So my wife didn't feel comfortable, so she stayed because my sister-in-law didn't come. And then so I walked in and tell me why, bro. The first brother I see is the brother that I didn't want to see anymore while I left.
mm,
I said, Allah, why you know what I mean? And I greeted the brother and I gave him the greeting and he still to this day don't even know it's him. You know what I
mm,
mean? I had nothing but love for him. And my understanding developed. And then when Minister Israel spoke, I stood up at the end of the lecture and I said, I accept and by the grace of Allah, and I pray this continues. I have not been in, and I've always been active since 2011. So went to processing class, found out I couldn't get registered because I wasn't married. So I was like, oh shoot, what I was doing was considered shacking up, but we've been together. We had 2.5 children pregnant,
Mm.
and so that didn't work. So I had to go to processing class for a year and a half, and then during that time, I proposed. I got the ring, got the wedding, got married, and the very next weekend, I recited it. Praise be to Allah, I'm still here. So sorry, long story.
Go ahead, brother. Yes,
But that's
sir.
my journey. But people may relate to think, just because your circumstances may not allow you to get registered, don't give up on the process and journey. Continue to go forward because there's something in it, specifically why you went through that, why Allah made that your circumstances, that's going to be beneficial for you as far as a testimony or for your experience for someone else. So, please don't abort the process.
Teaching, teaching. Go ahead, brother Leo. And Sister Naima says, great testimony. Thank you all for watching. There's people showing you love everywhere. Okay, excellent. Um, Wonderful. So what advice do you give to people who, like you said, in the process, but there's a breakdown in communication and they may stop the process? What advice would you give to people about continuing on no matter what?
When you're in the middle of something, it's hard to see the bird's eye view, right? Because you're involved. So it's almost like you got to train yourself, and this applies to so many different things, to step back and see, okay, I'm in this moment and I see what I'm dealing with right now. And this is where I want to be over here. So how do I guide this situation to get it where I'm going? Now, sometimes you're so stuck in that moment that you can't think about what's happening to you. And so I knew that Islam, as it's being taught by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, no matter what, even if what I don't understand, I 100% have faith that it's the truth and that in time I'll be rewarded with that understanding of what it is that I'm seeking, right?
Yes, sir.
So that part is important to know that what you're going towards is what I want and nothing's going to stop it. So, however long that journey is in time or in distance, you have to know that this is the ultimate goal. Like for brothers who seek their wives out, that's gonna be my wife. I'm gonna figure it out. You know what I mean? It's all mathematics. So having the proper spirit, seeking some good guidance if you can find some around you for sure, right? I always could lean on my father and I could lean on my mother for a different kind of understanding, right? And some of my close brothers, I don't know if you know Brother Hannibal, he's one of my good brothers. Brother Martinez, one of my good brothers, and a couple of other brothers, and around the city, it's a lot. I want to be thankful for all the guidance that I've ever received because it's allowed me to be where I am.
Mm.
So it's important to focus on Allah and know that you're not into anything for anybody else, and don't let nobody stop you. Like in the teaching and the lessons, it says that if the devil said, "I only called you, but you came on your own. I
That's right.
didn't force you there." So you always want to remember what you're doing it for. You know what I mean? And that's the salvation of our people and the spreading of these teachings across North America.
Excellent. Go ahead.
Reminder. A reminder is a blessing. I say that to everybody. Everybody that give me a reminder, I'm like, yo, thank you. Even this, when you text me, I'm like, okay, shoot, you know what I mean? Hey, yo, we still good? Like, yeah, we still good. But I appreciate reminders, so they come in handy for me, especially.
Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. Yes, sir. And people are showing you love all around the world. Sister Amatullah Muhammad says, Assalamu alaikum. Sister Rachel Neal says she loves her Phoenix family. Praise be to Allah. Beautiful. All right, Brother Hilario, we have a quick 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. Everyone who is watching, we appreciate every like, share, and subscription. Thank you for all of your anonymous donations to the Cash App of the People's Podcast. 1 second, we're coming right back to our brother. Here we go. Yes, sir. All right, and Brother Larry, I wanted to hold on. I wanted to also ask you about a specific question about the movie that
Yes.
people that I was asking on the the white carpet. Make sure we on the white carpet that I asked a lot of the guests because at the end I got to ask you one question, but we didn't get to go into detail about the movie. One moment, here we go. Just waiting for it to pull up. Only of those services. There we go. Sister Miriam's ABC I Love Me children's book and there we go. All right, thank you everyone who was watching. Here we go. Wow. Any of those services. Sister Miriam's ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book, and now Spanish book.
All three available on Amazon.com. Sister Naima's Stay on Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country, right here in the studios of Atlanta Dress in the best of fashion. Brother Kenneth's Bow Tie Maker Extraordinaire. He'll ship you bow ties anywhere across the nation. Henry Carter's King Henry Turkey Legs, right here in Atlanta, Georgia. Brother Rashad Muhammad's COVID-19 Disinfected Cleaning Services, out of Chicago. Student Minister Sharif Muhammad's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, available on adulsharif.com. And lastly, Brother Joshua Muhammad's book, Cleopatra, as well as No Father, No Excuse, both available on Amazon.
Perfect. And one more. Shout out to Sister Sherry Muhammad, AsiaticMinds.com. Please, if you have children that go to school virtually all around the world, they teach STEM virtually to young kings and queens all around the world. Sister Sherry Muhammad, AsiaticMinds.com. If you want your children to go to school virtually, AsiaticMinds.com. They have a great faculty, staff, and community. And speaking of schools, we have some great questions coming up about our brother Hilario. His school, y'all gonna be blown away because when I heard the information that he was given, I think that a lot of parents should listen to it. So it's on the lineup. It's to come. That's my preview. That's my teaser. All right. So my next question is about the movie. When you saw the brutality, the history of our people, things that have been done, the hangings, and like it's a sad point in the movie. A lot of people were emotional, and then to know that God came Himself. How important is that for you personally to understand that, and how important is that for people who haven't seen the film to understand that?
Confession?
Yes, sir.
I mean,
Yes, sir.
I haven't seen the movie yet. I was
Mm.
working the event so much that I maybe peeked in here and there in each theater because we're running three separate theaters at the same time. So it was a technical feat for sure. And it had to be monitored as well as all the other aspects of it. So, but Brother Eli Rashad, thankfully, allowed me to have a copy. So that's actually my homework for today is to go back and watch it.
Okay.
But to
Okay.
your question, from a different perspective, without seeing the movie in its entirety, shall I say, um, as a Black person, you need to have that core knowing that Allah came for our people and that what our people went through, for whatever reason Allah deemed it necessary, that it was a process to where we are now and to where we're going to be. And when you know for a fact that Allah came in the person of Master Prophet Muhammad and for your people and the description, although whoever may try to claim that description for themselves, they know who they are. They
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
it's us 100%. And when you make that connection, you feel it and you believe it, I don't know, it's like a sense of pride that you have. It's like a little power, like I know Allah came for me and my people, and for whatever the persecution and the hatred and all the negative experiences that Black people have had, to know that in the end, Allah loves us so much that He came 9,000 miles to see us. That's I don't know. You can always stand on that. You know what I mean? So it's whatever coming in after that, whatever Allah got in store for us, He loves us as a people. I know He loves us because He came Himself all together after our people cried. The man is here. And I believe that. And so because of that, I can feel strongly about certain declarations that we have in our nation and self. And I can speak stronger to people to convince them because the conviction is there. So I hope that everybody who did see that scene in the movie, they walked out of the theater feeling stronger and bolder with less confusion about the whole UFO phenomenon. So now they can see the origin of it, period, and then see the explanation of it. So that way, when they're asked, then they can properly explain it to the best of their ability as well, because of what Brother Ilya Rashad and his team who put the movie together has made for us.
Excellent response. Yes, sir. I want to stay right there. Being that you're student protocol director, you have to go into the community. So you are, in fact, student in ministry with a title or not. And when you were going to tell people about the movie, how did you explain it to people what the movie was about?
So everybody, I remember specifically being in Brother Elijah which was one of our top ticket salesmen. He was the top, not one of them. He was the top ticket salesman, being
Mm.
in the barber chair. And I was asking them that they promote it, and sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But it was a brother in the chair, and I was like, did you ask him? He's like, well, I didn't ask him. I mean, I asked Ian, the other brother that's in the barbershop, and brother Billy, and I said, so I'll just ask him. I said, brother, what is your take on UFOs? Do you believe that this is a other world green little man kind of situation, or what else? What do you think? And so one brother, there was two of them. He said, one said, I don't really know what to think. You know what I mean? And then the other brother was talking about, well, I think that other people. And then so I offered him an alternative in thought. And I said, well, could you accept that this is from us as a people, that it's not people that are green from Mars, that it's actually Black people, Black excellence and technological advances that were then in 1930, took 20 years from 1910, 1930, 1929, that our people have this advanced science because God came. Now, you read in the Bible about Ezekiel and all these things, right? So are we always thinking everything is ghostly and not real? And the pyramids, like they put in that, what is the History Channel, that they're alien made? People always try to deflect when it comes to Black excellence and attribute it to some kind of other race or another people from another planet. So I said, would you be willing to accept the idea that maybe it could come from us? And so he said, well, I'm open-minded because I don't know what. I can't say that it's Green Man. I can't say that it's not us. So then I offered him the experience to come into the movie theater, right? So come and
Mm.
check us out at ufopremiere.com. Get your tickets, bro, and come and see us. And Brother Elijah facilitated 25 people to come and see this movie that are not registered Muslims. So that's a
Mm.
lot of people in the community. So that's what I'm saying about the work of the protocol director. You just community outreach, as you can label it kind of as a small phrase, but he did that. You know what I mean? So that's you're inviting people to hear the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad through the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in this particular area because this is a core belief that we have. So, and then other people too. Sometimes I don't have to give them so much because the relationship that we have built, I can just say, you know what, we have this UFO world premiere where we're explaining the UFO phenomenon, and boom, just because of the love and affection that they already have for us, because what we've already done in the past, it's an easy accept. You know what I mean? I don't have to go through the whole
Mm.
mind travel, follow me in this journey to help you understand that the possibility that it could be us. They just come right to it. So it's a beautiful thing when you just try. All you gotta do is just try. All the worst things anybody can say, I'm in sales. So and so the worst thing somebody can say is no, but that's just a word. I just move on to the next person. Or if I really feel like I want this person, I could kind of work with them to try to get it to turn into a yes. But go into the next person. I'm gonna get a few yeses for sure.
Yes,
And
sir. Yes, sir.
those yeses get their mind penetrated with the teachings and the reality of the wills. Oh my goodness. Then they can stand on truth, you know what I mean? And not have to worry about being confused anymore or listen to whatever the government has to say as far as what they want to explain it as. So just trying. Just all you got to do is just try, brother, please.
Praise be to Allah. You teaching, brother? Are you teaching? And speak. Do you ever speak at the mosque or like speak in restrooms and stuff like that?
I avoid all front issues as far as being in front of the camera, speaking. People say that all the time, right? To be honest with you, and I'm not saying that in a braggadocious way at all, because
Okay.
when it's in the spot and in the moment, like I can talk to anyone and be able to convince them. Generally, as a salesman, you have to be convincing, right? And make them understand or see, especially when it comes to the teaching or when it comes to making money. But I don't want to call it performative, but I don't want to have like, okay, this is your time. You need to fill this time and you need to speak for this amount. So I'm not looking to be in front. I'd rather have the least amount of attention and be able to work the hardest with the least amount of resistance. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So
Mm.
I'd rather just do all of that. And that's why I generally stay in the background, because I love to work and just make it happen. That's my father's model. He put upon our families, make it happen. So I like to put on events and put on production. So protocol really was fitting as a journey that I'm on right now. I enjoy it, working for the cause of truth and making sure that people have a positive view, interaction, and experience with the Nation of Islam as a whole.
All praises due to Allah. Yes, sir. Now you reference your father, say Brother Kenny, your mother's name.
My mother, Sister Sophia Muhammad. She's out of 48, Dallas, Texas.
Dude.
Uh, Love my mother. She's been, like I said, she never gave up on me in this journey in Islam. She always lured me in and tried to find her way. And through a mother's love, her son is now in the process of being saved, and as I try to save others to the best of my ability. Yes, sir. So I love my
Good,
brother.
good, good.
I love you. And Pops, I love you too.
Shout out your parents, yes, sir. Now I wanted to ask you about oh, your the Most High Mr. Farrakhan says you're gonna be in protocol, so that means you're around him a lot. From what you being in close proximity, and a lot of people don't get to see the minister, that in that way. What is he the same in front of this on the stage as he is off the stage? Is he the same humble man? Is he like that behind the scenes? Can you let us know what it's like? You're around a minister. Is he the same person?
I would definitely not use the language, me personally, that I'm around him a lot because I would not say that. Definitely, I'm not. But I have had experiences, right?
Yes,
Some
sir.
very personal one-on-one experiences in some group settings. So in all of those settings, I almost want to say it's better in person to a degree, but I don't want to separate because the minister demonstrates his love publicly and privately.
Yes,
And
sir.
oh man, and it's animated. I'll say this. When the minister is teaching on the rostrum, he loves to teach. Sometimes he'll go 3, 4 hours sometimes. At the dinner table, it ain't no different. The
Mm,
minister in the entire, it ain't like a bunch of conversation both ways. Most of the time you back and just listen and getting your mind blown away, right? It's some things that he'll reveal and some context and stuff. He's like, man, just like you would at Savior's Day. But I can tell you his heart to teach is 100% in him ingrained. He cannot do anything other than that. That's his life mission. I promise you, from all the experiences I had, he's interested in the salvation of us on every level. He doesn't want his nation, the nation, to fall in the sense of mistakes and errors that we make. He wants to try to love on us and guide us and show us the right way. And he's willing to work with us. You know what I mean? I've seen so many demonstrations of love for the minister in person and across the rostrum, like we all do. And all I can say is that that man's heart is, I don't think he could do anything else.
mm,
I'm being
mm.
100% honest. I've seen it. It's just, man, I know people sometimes want specifics and things like that, but um, out of respect for the minister and some of the things that he says, they can't be repeated per se, or you don't want to just take liberties. But all I can say is that the minister loves his nation and he loves all of us, and he'll do whatever he can to make sure that we make it and to save our people that are not necessarily registered Muslim. He wants us to come in, and he's not about converting, so but we got to do our job in converting. You know what I mean? I remember one moment I shared this, and he was at the dinner table, and he said, "Man, we want encouraging us to get our converts up." And he said, "You know who's getting their converts up?" And nobody's gonna answer the question ahead of him, right? We want to hear, right? It's rhetorical, kind of. And he said, and he didn't use this word, but I think he said that he was referencing the LGBTQ. He said they're getting converts.
Mm, mm,
They're not making any excuses. They're
mm.
growing. And I was like, God dang, that's a crazy comparison. You know what I mean? So we got to get on our job. And he said, and they don't have the teachings. And he literally did that on the table. He slammed his hand on the glass table. He said, they don't have the truth. They don't have the teachers of the most honorable life. Allah didn't visit them like they visited. I was like, ooh, I just felt guilty. You know what I mean? I was like, let me go text somebody right now for this Sunday's lecture. So that was, that really hit me. I was like, man, they don't. Look at what they're doing to our people and to society as a whole with what they got. And look at what we have. So what should we be doing to the highest degree that we can do it? So all I can do is ask Allah for forgiveness for what I haven't done and ask that he increase my spirit so that I can do better.
All praises to Allah. Go
All right.
ahead. Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, sir.
Okay, well, Brother Larry, have you ever been faced with fear? And if so, how have you overcome that fear?
I've heard you ask this question before. So, and I'm not prepared to figure out a specific point, but of course, man. And that's when your heart rate be up, and then, you seek refuge from Allah from anxiety, because sometimes you be like heart rate up through there, your breathing is off because you're facing a situation. But when you push past it, I've been like being in the department of protocol, is that uh you got these events, and sometimes you're scared about the outcome of it. Is it going to
Mm.
be spent this much time on this? Is it going to be a success? This whole event for like 2 months, a little bit of stress, you know what I mean? But like I said, so many moving parts you got to think about, and it's what you don't think about sometimes. But yeah, heck yeah, I get nervous on all of these events, meeting with the minister. You're nervous, and then the next thing you know, you got to deal with people in the community, right? Because they're looking to see how genuine you really are. And then you said, oh, Lord, please let me come off in the proper manner, purify my heart, my spirit, my intentions as I go into this meeting with this pastor, with this activist, with this politician. And then in the end, they say that in some cases, they say, oh, I love the Nation of Islam. I didn't know the Nation of Islam. There's people in the community right now. It's a sister named Dana Burns who had to go back and forth with the Department of Justice because of her involvement with us. And she said that, if I got to choose between my relationship with you guys and my relationship with the Nation of Islam, then it's an easy choice for me. I'm going to rock with the Nation of Islam because of the way that we've been, and as far as her experience with us and how we interact. And so she said basically, she's looking for a husband after a while. He said she be ready. But she considers herself a sister, and the sisters treat her that way accordingly. So fear, yes, brother, 100%. But specifically at this moment, I can't draw a particular moment that would probably make a good point. But all I can say is, yeah, man, just put one foot in front of the other. That's all you got to do. And Allah, you got to have the confidence that Allah will back you. So you got to ask Allah, please, please guide me. And not that I won't face challenges, but please give me the strength to overcome them as I go through them. That part, you got to have your faith and your trust in Allah. And then the outcome of it, if it's praise be to Allah, hopefully it's good. You know what I mean? So we want to always move with our best foot forward, hoping that Allah, praying that Allah is guiding you so that you can make a positive impact on whoever it is that you need to make an impact on.
Go ahead and take, brother. Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And thank you, everyone who continues to show love all around the world to the People's Podcast. My next question for you is the Justice or Else, 10-10-15.
Yes,
How did that experience personally impact you?
That, now that you said that, brings back the fear moments, right? Because Justice or Else, getting there, right? A lot of us were prepared to to be in maybe an incident. You know what I mean? We were prepared if it had to, right? So our journey and getting a lot of people there was very important, but being there also was very important. And for me personally, being there with my wife was very important. Aria, my wife, hey babe.
Yes,
And
sir.
so she was pregnant at the time, and the minister asked for that prayer, and everybody to put their hands on the stomach of it. So my daughter, who you met that was at the premiere,
Yes,
she
sir.
was the one in the womb, and Allah, but the minister, Allah through the minister, offered that prayer for the children to be fearless too, right? And my daughter is one that she is the most fearless out of all of my children. She's willing to do things, jump off the boat, go off this, she's a little risky with those kind of maneuvers, but she comes to the mosque all on her own. She finds a way. She's inclined to Islam. Prayer, I don't have to ask her, she's asking me. So that prayer worked. Thank you to the Honorable Farrakhan for that prayer. But as far as the 10,000 fearless, get on between the gangs and the violence and the guns, I literally had to stand with guns drawn and people threatening me to end my life because of some of the things we were trying to do with conflict resolution. And talk about being scared. I mean, I can't really just divulge the stories, but I wouldn't in this platform, shall I say? But it's a situation where you had to go help somebody, and the person who doesn't want that person to be helped is threatening you this kind of way. But literally calling on Allah and overcoming that fear. I'm here for the right reasons. I know I'm here for the right reasons. That's what I do know. And I don't think this was the best situation, but I would tell my wife, I have to go on this, resolve this situation, and pray that I come back. So I feel kind of guilty for putting my family in that kind of situation. But these are the people that are in the community, and because we did those things, that they have love for the Nation of Islam and the 10,000 fearless, and they together. So when we would have viewings in the park of the minister on projectors, to explain to them, what the minister's mission is with this, to do for self, to be not fight each other, to be economically successful. Like I said, with your father being an instrument, he came down for the grand opening, and we had several 10,000 fearless houses, and that was one of the most beautiful feeding the community. Even in feeding the community, the police would mess with us. And one time it was on like a little mini police chase, man. And I was the police, but I would chase one of our community members. And in the end, he would wanted to arrest me and the other person. So I'm nervous about the situation. So I end up, once again, I called my dad, right? So I was like, yo, what's going on? This is what's happening. And I don't know what, he made a phone call to the police chief or something. And the police officer at the end came to me, apologized, and asked me, how would you like this encounter to end, brother? And I was like, you asking me? Well, you the police. But whatever my father said to them, he's one of the strongest believers I know. You know, I mean, probably outside of the minister, the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and Brother Jabril, top four for me, right? For me.
Mm-hmm.
So for what he's able to instill into me. And then that police officer was asking me how, and I said, I want y'all to leave. I'll escort this sister home and then we'll end the encounter. He said, that's exactly what we'll do. So, but being scared at first, but not giving up in the moment and making sure that whatever it is that I'm trying to do to alleviate the situation, that you do it. If you're going in the name of Allah and you got your intentions, they're proper. And they were, but you can't be scared. So I overcome that fear in those moments and those other moments where people draw guns. So sorry, I could be a little long-winded, brother
Oh
man.
no, that's man, this is the podcast is for. You know, shout out for the clickbait, brother. Guns drawn, police chase. Okay, all of this. Thank you for
No, this is not something that, other people haven't experienced. So I don't want to highlight and magnify my experiences because there's people that have been in far dire situations, including the minister, right? He's the best example that we have. He is the example that we have. So, for what he's done, the path has already been laid on what you can do in these situations, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all you have to do is just gird up your faith and your trust in Allah and make sure that you can move out, because as you graduate from that one degree of difficulty and that experience, then you probably more prepared for the next situation that could be bigger. So once again, my experiences, I'm gonna keep them small because I'm not some Superman out here in the streets. Because I can tell you stories of other brothers that have done far things more heroic than I have ever, and may never experience. So collectively, though, if we just all do our part in trying to do whatever we can to resolve some conflict in our neighborhood, then I think that the impact would be great for our people and for our salvation.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. But what has been the greatest trial in your life, and how have you overcome that trial?
The greatest trial. Oh, bro, come on, man.
You said you watched the show. You said you know that
I
you
do, Ray, but hey, nobody expected to happen to me. You know what I mean? You told me yesterday. Yeah, like, I was still busy. Oh shoot, try. Well, the struggle for balance.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta keep it real. Only why I want to add a little degree of being personal to it is because other people are and will experience this. So I love my nation. I love doing for self. I love my children. I love doing community work. All of these things have a pull, right? And sometimes you get overzealous in some things, right? You want to do everything and you want to help everyone, and you try your best to do it. And when you do that, then it becomes like, oh, then the wife got to be like, well, I need help with the children. I need, be home more. Like this movie weekend, I'm 2 months in debt.
Mm-hmm.
I got to make up with that with spending time with the family. And inshallah, today was a good day. Yesterday with the daughters, you just got to make it up. So you just got to keep that balance and, making sure that you still do the work. But at the same time, your First Nation is at home. You still got to make sure that you provide for your family, your wife and children, and then that you take care of yourself and your own health. You know what I mean? It's mental health, physical health, all of that stuff. So that is one of the trials for me. And as far as overcoming, obviously, that's an ongoing thing. So I just pray with the guidance that I get from other people, OGs that I can ask questions to, and from their experiences, and they'll guide me to try to find a way to make it more balanced. So I'm definitely that struggle for balance. So it's hard to say no to our people when they need something. So I just feel like if Allah put me in the spirit of it, He didn't deposit that spirit in to me to just waste it. So I'll just do it, and then, like they say, sometimes no good deed goes unpunished, right? But
Mm-hmm.
get the punishment from it, but I need to still work on that aspect of myself. So that study I got to study that one a little more.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. And I wanted to ask about, you told a story when we were in the car about your daughter making it to the mosque. Can you let us know about that? Finding
I prayed for that girl. I mean, I fasted, I changed my diet. I had 3 boys in a row, right? And so you're like, oh man, do I ever get a girl? You know what I mean? So it's like I just got to have boy spirit. So I wanted a daughter. So I fasted, I prayed, me and my wife studied how to give birth to a God. We did everything we could, and then I asked Allah for a daughter, and that's what I got that time. And I was like,
you.
oh man, I never asked for a gender of any child, but that time I wanted it. And it was during the time of the heavy rotation of my wife was pregnant of the 10, 15, and 10,000 Fearless when she was born. So we were all into everything. And so for a while, I think my daughter she didn't cut for me at all. I was absent, you know what I mean, during that
Mm-hmm.
pregnancy, during the tail end. And so I feel like I got a little bit of punishment and say, but not having that affection for her from her towards me as a baby. You know, I'm like, this
Mhm.
baby don't like me right now. But she was a mama's girl for a while. But then around 2 years old, it flipped like a light switch, and she was all about her father. You know what I mean? And she still is to this day. I get greeted every time I walk in the door. It's like, Dad, Dad, Dad. So I'm thankful because Allah shows me that I'll take it as that, right? Is that he's with me because he's allowing that affection to be shown, which is soothing, right? For all the challenges and trials that you may go through. So she, around maybe about 2 years ago, she just wanted me to, can you pray with me? Can you show me how to pray? Pull the rug out, fresh. I'm like, yo, I'm in the middle of watching TV, you know what I mean? I'm like, it's not quite prayer time yet, but I'll do it. Okay. So every day she was bringing the prayer rug out to pray. So I said, okay. It reminded me of my oldest son, Andreas. He was the same way. When he was about 5 years old, before Fajr prayer, I would open up my bedroom door to come out, and he would already be dressed, ready with his prayer rug. Let's go. And I'm like, so them two specifically, and now my second daughter is kind of going that direction too. So Allah is allowing the love for Islam to be reproduced in my children. So I'm thankful for that. But she herself lately, because you're in the Department of Protocol, right? You have meetings. You know what I mean? That's one of the things about being an official. Everybody, all of us are laborers. So let's not get that confused because we're all striving to spread Islam. But those who are officials, per se, you're mandated to do these meetings, or you got stuff you got to take care of. So I don't. She asked to come to the mosque with me, but I'd be like, I don't think that's a good idea because how long you have to wait afterwards sometimes.
Mhm.
And any child of a laborer who may have to experience that, right? You definitely we can relate.
Yes, sir.
So, I'll leave her back at home, and then just this, not this Sunday that just passed, but the Sunday before, I'm in the secretary's office talking to the secretary, and there's a knock at the door. And I open up the door, and it's my daughter fully dressed in her garment that was gifted to her. And I was like, "Yo, what are you doing here?" She's like, I was like, "How did you get here?" She's like, "I have my ways." I was like, "What kind of phone calls you making to get a ride to the mosque independently of me after I already told you no?" But I can only be happy because it warms your heart that her desire to be amongst the believers is very strong at a young age. And
Mhm.
even Wednesday night, we had like an all sisters Wednesday night meeting where they're all teaching. I think it was a nation can rise no higher than its woman. And but after she heard all this sisters speak, she's like, that's gonna be me one day up there. And
Mhm.
as a father, I love that. So I'm trying to be careful with how I handle her now, you know what I mean? Because I see the natural attraction towards what we have, and I want her to experience that. So I got to manage my time on the back end, or I got to make sure, I got to figure it out because
Yes,
I
sir.
don't want her, I don't want no resistance to her experience and her joining on her journey in Islam. I want to make sure that if that's the MGT she wants to be, she can be, and that and more, So, and for my son and my boys too. So, yes, sir.
Praise be to Allah. Yes, sir. You teaching Brother Hilario, and people are bearing witness, all beautiful. As Sister Salima says, Alhamdulillah, beautiful. Brother Michael says, praise be to Allah. Our babies are some of the greatest. Oh, Alhamdulillah, she's so sweet. Definitely the struggle for balance is necessary. And my sister Miriam says, all praises due to Allah. Speaking of the student secretary, shout out to Sister Michelle. Shout
Shout
out
out to Sister Michelle. I love
Shout
that
out
sister.
to student minister Abdul Ali Muhammad. All of the student laborers this weekend showed me nothing but love. I felt the spirit. I wish that everybody can get a chance to visit Muhammad Mosque number 32. It was overwhelming. The spirit, of course, the event, but the way I was taken care of as far as going to eat and just on some random stuff. Anybody who's been watching people's podcasts, they know I'm not a fan of necessarily Indian food like that, but that's what they kept taking us. So it was just
I
funny.
heard what you ate. I was like, you did what? I
Yeah,
was
I'm
like,
ordering chicken nuggets. I'm
oh,
ordering chicken
at an
nuggets.
Indian
They know
restaurant.
I'm ordering chicken nuggets
At
because
an Indian,
it was everything was tikka masalas and lamb, and me and Sister Michelle was the only ones. Sister Michelle, I think she's like
she do not
she's
like Indian food, bro.
yeah,
She
she
do
was
not.
she me and her were making jokes because she was the only one who was like cut the show.
I was like, this brother.
But
I
shout out
didn't
to
even know they had chicken nuggets at Indian restaurants. I was like
yes,
surprised
no,
they didn't have
see,
that, but they were
make it
there for
happen.
you, brother.
Like Brother Kenny said, make it happen. You know what I'm
Make
saying?
it happen. Make it
So
happen. Make it happen.
yes, sir. I also wanted to know what is your favorite album of all time, sir?
Album, bro. God dang, I know you answer this question all the time
Yes.
too. But I guess you know what? I mean, shoot, if I looked at my Apple Music right now on my phone, I bet it could tell me for me, right?
Yes, sir.
I I always find myself easily going into without necessarily picking songs is Illmatic. You know,
Okay,
that's
okay,
one of my
okay,
favorites because I really don't like a whole lot of East Coast rappers, you know what I mean? But Nas is always going to be there for me, you know what I mean? As far as
okay, okay.
Black Album is always great for me. Uh, Shoot, I got a stack of records right outside this door because I used to be a DJ in high school. So I have all this vinyl that I couldn't ever find myself to throw it away, even though it's been been 20 years. So yeah,
Mm.
I got all them songs over there. Just like you got all of there. I mean, I
Yes,
can
sir.
make a whole just like that too, bro. But but Nas has always been that brother that I can always go back to and just listen because when the beats is right, but then the lyrical content, right? So it's always
Absolutely.
something you can dive deeper into and get an appreciation no matter how many times it may have a better understanding over time. So that's my
Can't
guy.
go wrong with Illmatic. That's an off mentioned favorite. And the people will definitely want to know, brother Hilario, what was your DJ name? Yeah, what's the DJ name?
It was mad basic, bro.
Okay, okay.
So I'm referred to like on the radio units and whatever for my life as H2. So
Mm,
because my biological father, his name is Hilario too. So I'm a
mm,
junior. So it's
okay.
H2. So it's this DJ H2. So it's
Okay,
simple.
okay, H2, okay. So everybody go on YouTube, YouTube DJ H2 so we can see a throwbacks of brother.
Ain't on YouTube. YouTube wasn't out then.
No,
I
somebody
might
got the
be to a
footage,
lot.
DJ H2.
Yeah, it ain't out there. YouTube wasn't around.
Yes,
Crazy.
sir. All right, and Sister Salima says that Vinyl's making a comeback. Beautiful. And shout out to Hamas number 6 for always showing love as well. Shout out to Salima and everyone who's watching. Okay, our last question that we have for you for this is only part one because we gotta get Valerio to come back. No, we got two more. I wanted to ask you about the school. Can you let us know about your school? Because y'all gotta hear this. This is a beautiful testimony.
And another thing, all praise is due to Allah for any good that any of us can do, right? So the school, well, my wife, first of all, wife Aria, a phenomenal woman, an excellent choice. I remember one time, just to side note, but it surprised me, so that's the only reason why I mentioned it. Another one of those moments with the minister, right? And this was in a
Mm,
private, like one-on-one. It was me, him, and my son only in this meeting, and uh, he was talking about my son in a way, and then we talked about his mother, and he said that he loved my wife because of the product of my son, right?
mm.
And so I was just excited. I said, I love her too. You know what I mean? And the minister was sitting back, like, you know what I mean? He's like, ooh. The minister said, look at my arm, goosebumps. He said, I like that I was, strong affirmation for the love of my wife. So I got to give her the credit, man, because for my son, dissatisfaction in the education system, right? And there's so many different areas that you could be dissatisfied when it comes to the public school system that we pulled them out and she was doing pre-K and kindergarten. And then we did for the other children, second grade, third grade. And then the pandemic kicked in and then everybody was kind of homeschooling, right?
Mm,
And
mm,
so we did that. And then I went to another sister, Sister Kilmer, who I recommend. She is an excellent school. I forgot Arizona Homeschool Network, and so we went to her school, and then there was a change in location. So we said, you know what? Maybe we're just gonna bring it back to the garage and start teaching in there. You know, put some construction work into there and make it look like a classroom. But another sister of my wife's friends, she a Muslim sister, Sister Fatima. She's a midwife, excellent midwife. She delivered
mm.
three of her children. Uh,
Okay,
it was like, why don't you guys do something a little bigger? You know what I mean? So her and my wife got together and they started looking at different places. And I was tied up in my business. So I wasn't, kind of going with them on these places to visit. And the next thing I know, they signing deals on buildings. And I'm like, oh my God, you know what I mean? So I was like, it's for real, we doing it. So I'm considered the principal, is what they call me, right? So I'm the
Yes, sir.
principal of the school, right? And then they're the instructors, but it's our school, but it's really my wife and sister Fatima's, right? So we have provided an environment that it was just supposed to be our children, but once we kind of painted the idea of what we were trying to do, so many other people decided, well, can you teach our school? And so a little nervousness about that, right? Because now you're taking on the education of other people's children, people take that serious. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
sir. Yes, sir.
For their children, but I wanted to make sure we did uh, that they have an understanding that we're going to be experimenting a little bit on this first year, right? And I didn't even advertise the school. We didn't mention it publicly. I didn't even tell nobody, right? Except for those who my wife knew, and then they kind of said we want to join on. But the experience is, I mean, pouring into a white child in a public school system is so easy because everything you learn is all about them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, reverse that. We're learning nothing but Black history, no white history, no white presidents on the wall, no any of that stuff. No white written books in our school.
Mm-hmm.
No, no white teachers. We don't even have white children. You know what I mean? So, but imagine the same way that a child can feel comfortable in their own skin, in their own environment, like what we don't do with the mosque. We don't invite
Mm-hmm.
white people to the mosque. Why? Because you want to be able to teach them without any hindrance about what the other child feels, and you take on their emotions of, well, I don't want to offend that other child, so I don't want to learn these things because I don't want him to be uncomfortable. But when it's just you and your people, you can teach that. You can teach messages to the Black man. You can teach the Black national anthem. You can teach, Black scientists and their projects, and you see all over the wall affirmations about who you are. And the teachers themselves, my wife and the other sister Fatima, and now we got another sister Tahita and another sister coming on, Taliba, and they're all pouring into them. So the self-esteem is through the roof. The no bullying, no negative words, nobody's hitting on nobody, everybody's protected and everybody's checking each other for positivity and out of respect. So they thrive far more than I could have thought that they did. I didn't expect that kind of impact, but I'm so glad that Allah used us in this situation for my wife and sister Fatima to put that into the children. So now the parents are like, yo, and now you got a waiting list of children that want to come to the school. So we really are outgrowing our building, and inshallah next year we'll have something different maybe. So or have to make a second location. So it's been a blessing. So I just pray that Allah continues to allow us to make the right decisions with these young minds so that they can grow up to be strong Black men and women. And hopefully, naturally inclined to Islam too. We'll have to see, but I'm just thankful for this. For my wife, Arya and Fatima, y'all doing a great job. Let's keep it up.
Praise be to Allah. Shout out to school and people. Brother, so many people are bearing witness. Okay, I see Sister Michelle, but I want to hopefully that's Sister Michelle from I can't see her like the picture's blown up. I hope that Sister Student Secretary Sister Michelle from Phoenix showing love. Brother Roosevelt, our brother, peace God body, so true. Sister Jamila Fia says, "May Allah bless you and your family with a
Oh, I
beautiful
love that sister
testimony."
too.
Sister
She flew all the
Rachel,
way down from Atlanta to help us out. You know what I mean?
wonderful.
So people from all over the United States came to this premiere. She was one of them.
Excellent. And Sister Rachel Neal says wonderful. And Sister Michelle, I just want to make it public. Everyone knows that when I get married, Sister Michelle will not only get a special invitation, but I want her to say some few words because she has been the only person who's been with me and Beyonce on our journey of love. Shout out to Sister Michelle. I love you, Sister Michelle. I love your family. You know what I'm saying? And you know what it is. Okay, so our last question. What would you like your legacy to be, sir?
Once again, another question that I knew was coming, right? But I didn't think about it at the moment. I always talk about my wife. I talk to my wife about, like if anything happens to me kind of situation, right? I want my children to continue down the path of Islam and that their children continue down the path of these teachings under the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes,
It's
sir.
one of the most important things. Every father, every Muslim wants their child to continue this work in saving our people because some things that we know in the teachings that I myself may not see, but I want them to contribute to it becoming a reality. So I definitely want to be balanced in my Islam to where it stays attractive to my children and to the people in the community. So I feel like I always try my best, relatively speaking, right? I don't know if it's really any good at all, right? But I feel like I try my best to treat people properly and with respect and to be grateful for all the things that I experience. So I want my children, but I also want my nation to benefit from any work that I can do that can set an example for whatever it may be worth. I'm not saying it's example worthy, brother, that's for sure. But for anything that anybody once again they can say anything that's good of me, it all belongs to Allah. And I just pray that my legacy, that me asking Allah and trying to channel Allah for all the things that I do, want to do, or try to do, that it can pass to my children, my mother. I want my mother to be proud, right? I want my father to be proud, right? So I really, I'm thankful for them being Muslims as parents, man, because I never drank and smoked and all that stuff because they didn't. You know
Mm,
what I mean? So I want to pass that down because your legacy is what continues on after you, right? And that's my children. And my example by memory of anything that I've done, that's the other side. So I pray that I be more purified in my intentions and more successful in whatever Allah places in front of me to accomplish, so that they can say, well, okay, if that brother could do it, then you can do it, or I could do it better than that brother, and then they do something even more great, So remain humble too. So, because Allah can take it all away from us, or He can place on us a severe trial that for you think you a believer, you think you love Allah, and it's like, now I'm gonna have to push you and try you all the way to death's door, like the minister. That's the example, right? He's
yes,
showing
sir.
me
Yes,
that
sir.
this is
Yes,
what
sir.
you're gonna have to go through. So I just pray that I become a strong believer like that too, and that I never fall out, and that nothing takes me away from Islam, from Allah.
All praise due to Allah. Yes, sir. You're teaching, and people will bear witness all around the world. Sister Michelle says that's right. Sister Salima says that's right. Alhamdulillah. Sister Rachel Neal says yes, sir. And Sister Amatullah says he has grown so much. All praise due to Allah. So proud of him. Sister Jamila Afia says your works are speaking for themselves. And everybody just bear witness in the comments. And I thank you all for watching. And once again, I want to thank everybody, let everybody know
Hold
Hiliario.
on, before you try to dip out on me. I want to say something, and I only said because this is genuine impact. Now, I know during the commercial break you advertised your father's book.
Yes, sir.
I wish I could grab it real quick and show you how many highlighted and underlined sentences. That book helped me so much, brother, because you get to see what somebody else went through. So you know what you need to go through. But your father in the book talked about the respect of the men and how to treat people properly, and his journey and his sacrifices and his own personal struggles throughout the book. And we need more testimony like that in full format so you could read it, so you could see, okay, but this brother went through what I went through. He was left out in the snow and the cold. He did too. He did for self, and he accomplished amazing things too. He tried to help our people on a massive scale with the apartment complexes too. So that book, everybody, especially FOI in positions over other men, you got to read that book. It's one of my favorite books of all time. So I definitely want to say that. And I want to thank you for all the sacrifices that you had to go through to get to Phoenix to help make our white carpet world premiere what it was. And that was fantastic by Allah's grace and permission. So people don't know, you had to catch like I said, in the white carpet interview, you caught a wild 10-hour flight. Just that's got to be the raggedest flight. I was ashamed to put you on that flight, bro. Well, Sister Kamala, but we worked together to make sure that you got here. But you took it, and then you made it happen. And that white carpet experience, that jacket you had, it was fly, bro. And then people want to be interviewed. So, and people want to tell their story, and you provided that for them, which is like a release. You know what I mean? It makes them feel better about themselves, and like they're contributing to our nation by you allowing them to speak about what they love about it. It's in particularly Brother Illy Rashad's film. So thank you, but I'm not trying to. I don't like people puffing me up and gassing me up, right?
Yes,
Because
sir. Yes, sir.
all praise be to Allah, and I don't like it. It makes me feel uncomfortable, and so I'm not trying to do that to you. But
Absolutely.
this people's podcast, from what you've been told, and I've heard people tell you face to face what it means to them, but I don't think that what it really means right now can be properly calculated, because in time, what it allows for other believers and new believers in the future to reaffirm them on their journey, you don't know how it's going to affect them. So you got what you got right now as far as people telling you, but I promise you, brother, this right here is bigger than either one of us could really understand. So I pray that Allah continues to bless you
Thank you
with the
very much, sir.
resources, the upgrades, the guests, and the continue to allow, make sure YouTube don't take you down, Facebook don't take you down, so we can access this. This is a national archive of testimonies and stories that you probably can't hear anywhere else. You really can't. So thank you for continuing inviting people on this, because I learned from it a lot, especially Brother Joshua's stuff, right? But many,
Yes, sir.
many more. And you've interviewed several people from Phoenix. So I know you invited my dad, and I wish that he would accept that invitation, but
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
sorry. So I'll praise you a lot. Yes, sir.
Wonderful. And thank you very much. Very humbled. And people are bearing witness all around. Brother Elijah says, all praise to Allah from Phoenix. Shout out. Phoenix people tapping in today. Miles number 32
Oh
represent.
shoot! I didn't even tell him about this. I'm trying to keep it on the hush.
Yeah, it's Sister
Praise
Michelle, Brother Elijah, Sister Rachel Neal, my sister name says, everybody saying all praise to Allah. This is beautiful. This is the spirit we need. Can't wait to upload this on YouTube. This is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off for the People's Podcast. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Hiliario.
Alaikum salam, dear brother. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And thank you all for watching. There we go.